Okay, so now we're gonna make some more organic forms, but we're gonna make them, we did some more simple ones last week, so we're gonna make some more, way more complex forms this week. So we're gonna kind of start the same way. I'm gonna kind of make one shape here, and sometimes I kind of have an idea of what I want something to look like in my mind before, and other times I don't. But in this case, I kind of have a shape in my mind, and I'm just going to show you an easy way to get there. So last week we made all our shapes kind of on top of each other or right next to each other. But this week I'm going to make them further apart because I want some interesting stuff to happen between their connections of them together. So I'm going to connect these two first. So I'm going to kind of connect those like this. So now I kind of have these two shapes connected by this longer, skinnier connection. And then this one, I'm also going to connect, and I want it to be kind of long and skinny. So now I'm kind of introducing some thinner shapes in with my bigger shapes. And so that's kind of how I came up with this shape right here. And I think when you're first learning, it's easier to do stuff in smaller steps so you can kind of see what's happening. So, but now I don't like this point, so I'm just going to kind of round that off. So then the next thing I'm going to do is, in the other ones we did the circles first before we outline the shape, but on this more complex shape, I'm going to outline it first just so I can kind of see what the shape or the form is going to look like. And just kind of something to know for when you're talking art terms. We usually use form as something that we talk about when something looks three-dimensional or round. And whenever we're doing sculpture, we always use the word form as opposed to shape. Shape is when we're talking about something that looks flat. So Picasso's drawings are made up of a bunch of little shapes. They don't really have any dimension to them. Right now, this is a shape because it looks very flat and 2D. When we start adding the lines and the contour lines and all of that, and the values, that's when it becomes a form. But we want to think about stuff in form, because that's going to help us know how to render it a lot better, put the values and stuff. So I encourage you to start looking at everything in the world around you as form and where values are and all of that makes it look like it has dimension. So that's the difference between shape and form. And me, this is kind of hard to do when I can't turn my paper, but I have it taped down. But like I say, I really like to practice flowing lines. I feel like that's a really good skill to develop, and I'm always working on that. So I'm going to just do like we did last week. I'm just going to start making my ovals in here. I'm just going to kind of stop before it starts getting into the other shape, and I'll show you what I'll do with that in a minute. And I'm going to go to the other shape, and I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, maybe I'll start kind of turning these to kind of give it a different appearance. Okay, and I kind of stopped this one right here, and I've kind of stopped that one. Okay, so now I'm going to do my third one. Okay, and I kind of stopped it. So we have this little area right here that just kind of doesn't have anything in it for right now. And that's okay, and I'll kind of show you what I would do with it. But the next thing, I'm going to take my 2D or my 2B pencil, and I'm going to go through, and I'm going to make my lines again. Once again, I kind of think these are kind of, when these are done and you take the time and do them nicely, they're kind of interesting drawings in themselves. So if you want, just a suggestion, you can work on making them really nice. I still want them nice for the assignment, but if you do them really nice, they're really great to put in your portfolio as sketches. So future employers or whatever can see that you understand form, you understand the process of getting from A to Z. You don't just have to copy a reference. So this will really show in a portfolio that you understand the process of creating a whole drawing. And we are going to be using some of these towards the end of class. So I'll kind of show you how you can do that. Let's do this big one. Okay, so I have those two done. Now I'm going to do this one. Okay, so now I have this. I can put one more down here. Let's put one more down there. So now I really just have to deal with this little smaller area. And I'm not going to put anything in here except for I'm just going to kind of put these little lines in here, and that's going to denote that there's a little divot. So when I go to do my shading, I know there's a little divot there caused by this. So that's how I'm going to do that. So the next thing is, we have to put in our other contour lines. So we have a curve here. Remember how we dealt with the curve? So I'm going to start here in the curve, and I'm going to match the shape of this. So it's just going to kind of come around and do that. And that's really the only curve that I really have in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So now I have that one in there, and I don't have to worry about that. So this might be an area, you know, it might be a little darker in here, and then slowly get lighter as the light hits it. So now we know where that is. And now I'm just gonna start putting in lines, my other contour lines. That are going to show the shape of this. Same with here. I'm going to just kind of stop here. Maybe put one in there. Okay, so now I know that these all have to kind of interact in with this shape. So I'm just going to pull it down and do that. And then this one is just going to go up in there. So now I know how everything is going to look when I go to shade this. This is kind of going to push in, this will push in, this pushes in, these all pull out. So now I've kind of got it basically to where I know exactly how I'm going to shade it. These are going to tell me where the bulges are, where stuff sticks out, where stuff pushes back. So let's do another shape. So I'm gonna just do the same thing. I'm gonna create this kind of shape, like a banana type thing. Once again, I'm just, this time I don't really have an idea in mind of what I'm doing or what shape I want, but I kind of want it to balance off and look like it's kind of it can lay flat. I'm going to make this a little longer up here, so because I want to put something on the top. So I'm going to make that a little longer. And then I'm going to do, I don't know, I'm going to do a funky shape like that. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other ones. I'm going to outline it first. So I need to sharpen my pencil. Okay, so now I'm just going to outline it just like we did the other one. This is kind of my favorite part because I really like to practice working on straight lines and flowing lines. However, it's hard to do when I'm filming because I can't move the paper. Okay, so now I have my outline of my shape. So I'm going to go through, once again, I'm going to do each shape individually. Do the big one first. And I'm going to go through and do these circles. Well, as it turns the corner, obviously I'm going to kind of start turning my ovals. Okay, so now I've done this whole shape right here. Now the next one, I'm going to do this little shape off to the side. And it's also going to have a turn in it, so I'm going to start turning my ovals. So now I have that, and then let's do this one last. Kind of stop there. So I'm kind of treating this shape like it's individual, this shape is an individual shape, and this is an individual shape. And I'm going to kind of stop and leave this gap in the middle, and we'll worry about that later. Okay, so now I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to do the same thing. But I'm going to stop it right here because I'm going to do something different with that. And I'm also going to stop right here at the edge of where this other shape is, because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that in a minute. Okay, so now I have that shape. Now let's do this top one. So I'm going to, well, let's see, let's start up here. Let's go this one right here. Now I'm going to, oh, I don't know if I want it. Yeah, I guess I. Okay, I don't know. Okay, so let's do one more. I guess I can do one more right there. All right, now I'm gonna do this shape. I think I'm gonna do this, oh, maybe, let's see what I'm thinking here. Okay, so I don't want this edge and this edge to be really sharp. I want them to kind of be rounded. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a deep rounding. So I'm just gonna take these, and some of this you do kind of have to think ahead. And these are gonna be because I wanted this edge to be a softer transition. Instead of a sharp V like this, I wanted it to be a rounder transition. So that's why I kind of did that. So now we have this, let's see. All right, now I've decided as I'm looking at this, I kind of want there to be an indent right here. So I'm gonna erase some of this. And I'm just going to start creating, I don't know, kind of a little bit of an indent. So now you can see I kind of have a little indent in there. Maybe I do want it to go all the way. So now this has an indent. So you can see how you can go back as you're doing and add some different things. Okay, so now I'm gonna put my lines, my other contour lines. Now, maybe I want this to just kind of continue through here, that through there, and let's see. Okay, so now I'm just going to put some of these lines through here. And then right here, I'm not going to draw a line, but maybe I'm just going to kind of put some little lines, because now I'm starting to think how I'm going to put the values in. And so I'm just going to put those there to indicate, you know, that there's a little indent here and my shadow is going to be a little bit darker. So let's go ahead and put some lines here. Okay, so I think I kind of have an idea now of how this would look as I start to put values in it. So you can see how sometimes along the way I want to kind of add something a little different. So let's see, let's do, oh yeah, let's do another one. Okay, so this one's going to kind of be a little bit different. So well, maybe I want to do, let's see, I don't know if I'm going to have enough room to do what I want to do here. All right, I'm going to try to do the best I can for it. So these are kind of like the ways we were doing stuff last week. So there's another technique we can do, and this one's going to kind of let us make some divots kind of in there. So I'm going to make kind of this bean type shape. And I'm going to make it in dimensions. So I'm going to make this have a bean shape back here, just a little bit smaller. So these we're trying to get to be the same shape. So the next thing I'm going to do is, it's kind of like we did with this one. I'm going to connect the whole shape. So now I have that shape. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to follow this form all the way back to the same form. So, but I don't need to do the bottom. I'm just going to kind of do and I ended here because now I can follow this top of the form. So now I can go in here and maybe I'm going to put a line down there. So now you can kind of see that we have a little divot inside the form. And then if I wanted to make this look 3D, I can also add some shape down there. And these. So now it's kind of like that shape and this tube. It's like a tube going all the way around with a little divot in the middle. And then when we go to shade those, can show you how it can be a little different. We can also do, let's do one more like that. Let's do that. Well, we need more room. Let's do it down here a little further. Make it a little smaller. Okay, so then I'm going to do a smaller one up here. We're going to kind of do the same thing. So now let's outline the shape. And then I'm just going to follow and so this obviously is a more pointed down the center instead of a round little divot. So now we kind of have that shape. We can do the same thing. We can kind of fill this. Finish it off. And that way you kind of get an idea of the shape. So now it kind of becomes kind of like a horseshoe that's really close together. So you can kind of see how these two are a little bit different approaches to these two, but they're good ways to arrive at getting some different, more complex forms. And I'm going to do one more video of some forms that are a little more complex than this, and then that should be good for what we're trying to accomplish.